Hi everyone, welcome to Reviewia Talks. So today we're going to talk about a challenge that a lot of organizations and professionals have identified. Given the new way of working, which is largely working from home, working remotely, and as the COVID-19 situation improves further and further, we do see that maybe we will never go back to the old way of working, which is all 5 days in the office. It'll be some kind of a hybrid model. It might be remote or work from home or work for anywhere kind of opportunities for some people permanently. But one thing which is a challenge when it comes to this kind of a model where people are working from different locations is those water cooler conversations, which we used to have when we were at our workplace. And it is not just the gossip, it is also a lot of positive inputs that we used to get when we were physically close to our peers, our superiors, leaders, definitely collaborating with cross-functional teams, collaborating with peers was far easier if you are in one single conference room or you're just sitting a couple of seats away from that individual. Now, with most people physically being away, that is a clear challenge, and it can definitely hurt the professional's personal growth in the medium term or the long term. And in a way, it can hurt the organization as well, because if your employees are not growing, they are not adding value to themselves, they will not be able to add value to your organization either. So in this video, my intention is to leave you with some suggestions which can help you counter this challenge of how do you effectively keep learning and collaborating in a work from home kind of an environment. So I'm going to break down my message to three or four kind of audiences. Firstly, I would want to talk to people who are in the HR department. So if you're an HR leader, one thing that you should do to ensure that people develop that level of connect, which we used to have very easily when it was working physically from the same location. One should mandate some kind of informal meets across levels at a regular frequency, ideally once a week. And these should be meets where people don't talk work. Okay, it has to be getting to know each other beyond work. It has to be getting to know what other people's tastes, passions, and preferences are. What is it that they're excited about? What is it that's keeping them awake at night? These should be platforms and forums to know the human being beyond the job title or the role. You must do that, okay? Because you need to show them the medium and long term risks of not doing it. I'm not even talking about this as something that will benefit you. It is more about the risk of losing people, the risk of people dropping their productivity, dropping their motivation when it comes to being in your organization. They need to feel that they belong, where they're working, and you have to figure out ways to ensure that belongingness gets communicated across the board. So that's my message to the HR fraternity. Now, my next message would be to team managers. So if you're a team manager and you are very focused on driving performance of your team, do make space for some empathy. Okay, understand that some of these people who have opted to work from home, even if the COVID situation improves, it is maybe because of some personal reasons. Maybe they have little children at home who have not started to go to a daycare or to a school, and that's the reason they can't come to office regularly. Now, if you have a little child at home, it is bound to be chaotic. It is a given that there will be background noise. It will be a given that the child would come and photobomb or disrupt your meeting. That's where, as a team manager, you got to be one up. It is very predictable to get irritated with that kind of that kind of a situation when the child is crying, and in the middle of a very important discussion there's this distraction which comes up. But understand that if you're able to empathize with that employee, if you're able to include that situation as a predictable normal situation, given that the person is working from home, and there are children and family members, that will go a long way. Because most of the times when that happens, no matter how open minded the parent is, at a level they get embarrassed when their child comes and kind of demands attention, especially if they're little children. They demand immediate attention. They don't care who you're talking to. They want their parents attention immediately. So make space for such things. Don't embarrass the team member just because of that. If you do that, that'll go a long way. People will have a lot of respect for you. That commands respect. If you are able to empathize, if you're able to understand the person's personal situation, especially these things which are high impact touch points. If you do that well, if you're able to touch that emotional chord with your team member, that'll go a long way in terms of ensuring that motivation is not an issue, and performance would also not remain an issue with such employees. And also focus on enabling your team. See, it's a very challenging situation, and it is very easy to call out the misses, they call out the issues, the challenges. But make space to have a conversation about, hey, I understand this is a new environment. How can I help? How can I enable certain things? Would you want some flexibility in your work hours? Okay, where you can actually ensure that the employee is allowed to be a little flexible when it comes to the number of hours till the time the outcomes are protected. Right, these are things which will go a long way in ensuring that your outcomes are also protected, and your team is highly motivated and is able to deliver consistently over a long period of time. Now, my third set of audience would be the employee. So if you're an employee, if you're a team member, the onus is on you to ensure that your career progresses. So while you can keep blaming that, hey, I'm working from home, I don't get to connect with my seniors and peers, so that's why I'm in this hole and I don't really know what is happening. All of that is just justification. But at the end of the day, if you just keep justifying and not doing anything about it, you are the one who's going to lose out the most. So I'll give you an example. There's a friend of mine. She's a fairly senior professional, and she joined a new organization bang in the middle of the first wave of COVID-19 in India. And it's been more than a year, and we were talking, and she said that there was a meeting where she was appreciated for the level of connect that she has been able to build with people whom she has never met physically. Okay, so in fact, there were comments that a lot of people who sit next to each other don't seem to connect the way she has been able to connect with people who are in completely different geographies, different functions. So it is definitely possible, and in this case, my friend took the onus on her and ensured that she is able to connect. Obviously, it took a lot of extra effort, but what I'm saying is take that extra effort. It is possible, and if you do that, you will be able to feel more included. You will be able to make more contributions to your peers as well, and overall you will feel part of the family. Okay, and a fairly integral member of that family. Then you will not feel that you are isolated in this hole, and nobody knows you, or you don't know anyone. Okay, and this is especially important if your role demands interaction with cross functional teams, or if it demands a very high level of collaboration with your colleagues. This is something which will go a long way. And not all of this connect has to be formal. It can be very informal, personal, just a general chit chat. But do make that effort to connect with people who you interact with extensively. Okay, and don't just make it only about work. Open up about your own life, who you are, what's your family, what are you dealing with, and what are your passions like. Let them know the human being that you are, not just the job title, and they would also gradually feel more comfortable and feel like opening up. So it and if you have a good term, and especially there's so many times you would see that if you're able to get a job done or not largely depends on the equation that you have with that person. So if you work on the equation, your core job would also become easier. Okay, so this is not just waste of time. This will eventually help you, drive better outcomes when it comes to your own business goals. Lastly, I would, give my message to the senior leaders. My message is beyond the podcasts, beyond the town halls. Figure out a way that people loosen up in your presence. Okay, spend your time helping people, reaching out to them, and make yourself far more accessible. Like physically, there is an open door policy. Maybe you should figure out some time in your calendar where it's an open call policy where people can randomly call and talk to you. Okay, make your offering of mentoring people available and known. See, this is the biggest thing, as a leader. How do you drive results? You inspire your team. And how do you inspire your team? By sharing your thought process, by demonstrating the right kind of actions, the right kind of values. So as a leader, you need to figure out ways that you are accessible to offer that in a formal as well as informal manner to large groups as well as smaller groups. Okay, this is primarily going to be amongst your top three goals as a business leader for the next 24 months while this transition happens, where we move from 100% physical office to something like a hybrid. In certain cases, maybe 80 to 90% work from home. Depends on the nature of the job, depends on the industry that you're a part of. So I think as a leader, this is going to be one of your top three goals when it comes to business growth, customer focus. Apart from that, spending time mentoring your team, spending time ensuring that they know that you're available to them as a mentor with your experiences and learnings. If you are able to do that and you create a cadence and do it consistently, I'm sure that you would see positive results not only in your people metrics like attrition and employee satisfaction. It will definitely translate into highly positive results on the business outcomes as well. So those were my messages for today's talk. I hope it was useful. Thank you so much.